So this is Andy Revkin with a pop-up Sustain What webcast with the Right Reverend Billy Talen and his Stop Stopping Choir. They are rehearsing ahead of their 5 p.m. show on the Lower East Side that they do every week, every Sunday. Let's just listen in here for a minute. I first wrote about Billy in the New York Times in 2007 when the documentary What Would Jesus Buy came out. Hey, Billy Talen.
Hey, Andrew Revkin.
I love the that rehearsal moment there. It's like we're in a Buddhist monastery high on a hill in the Himalayas.
We'll do that religion. We're ready to adopt any religion to the earth. So we just cut out the God and bring it over to the earth.
Which is good. You know, I've thought, like a lot of scientists I know are afraid to express awe. And I think we all need to have a sense of awe, whether it's around religion or whatever.
Should we go behind the bulletproof glass?
Let's see the whole setup here down on the Lower East Side. So again, this is Andy Revkin, the Sustain What webcast with Reverend Billy Talen, who's on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. I'm up in Wabanaki territory in Maine, on the coast of an inlet that was called Mud Cove a long time ago. And just checking in on a Sunday afternoon ahead of their regular 5 p.m. public show there on the Lower East Side. Go to revbilly.com to learn more. And I thought it was just fun to sort of say hi. You've had a busy summer opening for someone named Neil Young on his nationwide tour. And now you're back on your home territory there.
Yes, it was a hell of a thing to come from our little storefront and get dropped in front of 20,000 people every other night for a month. 15 amphitheaters with Neil Young and Crazy Horse. About 15 of us got on the buses and went on the rock and roll tour across the country. But we're glad to be back now, and we didn't quite complete that tour. Neil says we'll complete it next year.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're getting older, like we all are. I can't believe how some of these old rockers can do what they do on the road, given how hard it is to just do normal things when you get to be a certain age.
That sound system, Andrew, is so... I've never had an experience like that. Well, first of all, it's in 5 semi-trailers going down the interstate. They're all painted blue, Kenilworth 18-wheelers, with the sound system of Crazy Horse and Neil Young in them. And they're followed by their own oil tanker, which is biodiesel, 99% politically correct fuel.
Amazing.
And just to take that microphone and just shout Earthalujah and just have it go out 3 city blocks immediately so that people you can barely see hear you.
Really?
Spoiled me.
Yeah.
I want to go back.
Well, then hopefully that will happen again. No, what an opportunity. And do you feel, sometimes opening acts, everyone's kind of busy doing their own thing and they're cheering for the main act. Did you find some connections? I did see there was some video of you in like the eco village.
Yes.
There's these areas around. Tell us about that whole experience, the sort of the community around these Neil Young events.
Well, Neil and his partner, Daryl Hannah, are serious environmentalists. For instance, Dwayne Johnson's trial, the gardener from the Bay Area who got non-Hodgkin's lymphoma from his exposure to glyphosate, Roundup. they went to every one of his court appearances.
Wow.
And they just kept coming back and kept coming back. Remember, that was the first big jury award that really slowed down that herbicide around the world.
Right. But
Because everybody else was emboldened then to challenge them legally. So they know where to put their energy. With the Love Earth tour, that's the name of the tour, Love Earth.
Right.
They have the village.
Right.
And the village is 7 green tents that are open at the sides and the front.
Mm-hmm.
And they have in them, this is a tremendous logistical lift. They have in the tents local activists, and they're not middle of the road moderate activists at all.
Right.
When we were in Atlanta, they were the people that opposed Cop City were in those tents, making, having graphics and statistics and basically being there themselves to talk with people from their own town. So this is really special. Neil and Daryl are inviting people to get in touch with their own really serious earth defenders. And in fact, in Atlanta, there was Manuel Turan's mother, Belkris Turan, Tortuguita, who was murdered by the police there at the Cop City site. There she was. We sang to her, and she embraced each one of us. There she was in person.
Right.
Oh my God.
So at each stop of the way, they're trying to connect the tour with regional, local, and global activism and elevating it.
Yes, they have this group of people. Really, it's a family, Charis and Dulcie Ford of Telluride, Colorado, and they are calling. They understand who they want to be there to make presentations, and there are people that are hands-on defending water, defending endangered species, defending ecosystems. They are trying to pass certain legislation that is crucial in that state. They put together the cliffhanging, the crucial activists, and bring them together into one place. And they give them free tickets to the Neil Young and Crazy Horse concert, of course. But they don't get to see us because we're performing at the same time that people are coming in.
Right.
And so the village and Reverend Billy and the Stop Shopping Choir are, well, we go out and we parade through the tents before we go on stage, and that's how we say hello.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it is cool. It's really converting the rock and roll ritual, which is one of our main iconic gathering rituals, into an event for the earth.
Right.
And it's not necessarily understood by everybody. It's not necessarily understood by all of Neil's fans. The extent to which his words, his phrases, I think of the gold rush, in 1969. How did that go? Mother Earth, look at Mother Earth on the run.
Right.
In the 1970s, the amount of Earth imagery from the singer-songwriter who's, after all, from Northern Ontario. So.
Right. So, you talk about the rock concert experience as being an iconic American and global ritual. And then, of course, you have the church. The church is another, and that's been where you've kind of used that that model as part of your activism for decades. So tell us a little bit about Earth Church, your latest incarnation. Where are you? And this is a weekly event you now have on Sundays at 5 p.m. Eastern?
Every Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern. Sometimes streamed. I don't think today, Miranda. Maybe not today.
Not today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Miranda, for holding the camera, etc.
Oh, we're going to try. Miranda's holding the camera.
Yeah.
Like a champ there. Are your arms sore?
I could move in a bit.
So one question I think I've asked you before, but I'll ask you again is, what drew you as a sort of a performer slash activist to the the religiosity forum for your uh, communication?
Well, there was always a parallel course there, Andrew, and that was direct action.
Right.
So at the very beginning of when I first had people starting to gather around me and sing was in Times Square, and I was
Right.
shouting about sweatshops and the anti-environmental corporate practices of the Disney company. Mickey Mouse was my devil, was my antichrist, and um, Disney was chasing out all the small stores in the Times Square area with their
Right.
vicious lawyers and so forth and so on. That was when the Lion King showed up and ate everybody up. And none of the eccentrics, I was one of the few sidewalk preachers to survive. You know, a lot of people just got chased out and into hospitals, jails, or back to Tennessee. And I
Right.
stayed in town and I came downtown to the community gardens. And we tried for a couple of years to keep Starbucks from coming east across the East Village. And a partial success, but not complete. Um, Church is in and of itself. If you cut out the God narrative, it's how people get together and have for so long. And maybe they called it another name, Ecclesia. But churches are a community, a wonderful community function where people take care of each other. And from being born to passing on.
Right.
Um, and we just have Earthalujah.
Right. I hear it.
Earthalujah.
I hear it. That's pretty cool. Yeah, maybe this is a good time to walk around a little bit there.
You walk out there. I can't
Yeah.
hear you talk very well when we're out there, but
So
let's
let's
go
just
out.
do, yeah, do a little
Let them
tour.
sing to us. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, and you can add some description if you want, and we'll just listen and watch. Hold on, I'm
Without
gonna
being cued by you.
right. Yeah, just give it a little tour.
Let's do a song right now, and then we'll go into introductions. Let's do Never. Okay.
This is my friend Andrew Revkin. Andrew
Hey.
with Miranda holding up the camera. And this is Andrew's community across the world. And we have all signed waivers. I remember that. So
Well, we were singing, and then we were going to introduce ourselves, and then a cockroach came out.
a cockroach.
We're going to sing the Now Bird, I think.
Earthalujah. Cockroach straight. You sing us a song?
Yeah.
Wow. That was great.
I knew somebody would do it.
Beautiful. Wow. Maybe Billy can take us around to that area to talk about the West African refugees too.
Yeah, shall we go in the back again?
Oh, here's the
Or in
kitchen.
here? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Andrew, you always like a kitchen, you know.
Yeah, I do. By the way, before you move forward, let me just show you a comment that came in from my good friend Matthias Kameen, who's up here in Maine now, but he says, being blessed by the Reverend in Albany at an anti-fracking event was a great gift to me as a young man. Singing alongside him with Pete Seeger, Yoko, Sean, Susan Sarandon, and Josh Fox changed my understanding of what activism can be. That's Matthias Kameen, who's now a cider maker and a banjo frailer, and a friend of mine up here in Maine. He's watching right now. Any words to tell him?
Matthias, I want to renew that blessing. Like renewing wedding vows.
That's cool. So
that was a special day with Pete Seeger, Yoko Ono, Josh, and it was a partial victory. We kept fracking out of upstate New York, but Cuomo outfoxed us. That's not a play on Josh's name. He let pipelines go through New York to take Pennsylvania oil to the Atlantic Ocean for shipping. So it was just a partial victory.
But isn't that true of every victory in the environment? Isn't that true? It's all provisional and all incremental in the end.
It seems that way. At first we have the celebration. The celebration wears off, and then the hangover is over, and then we look at the fine print.
Yeah.
And the fine print says, "Go to hell."
Yeah, but to me, I think that illustrates, having written about these issues and for 40 years and thousands of pieces and doing my webcasts, it's the incremental aspect of these giant problems can be seen as really downer, but at the same time, that's why someone can use humor on one part of it. Someone can use litigation on another part of it. Someone can drive forward with innovation in another part. So it is that multidimensional nature of the challenge that makes it everyone's opportunity to a certain extent. And which is why I like your celebratory approach. I think we're all grieving and celebrating at the same time.
Thank you, Andrew. I know that was really
Earthalujah.
Articulate, that the way you put that. And we need that multifaceted, many roles, world community approach. And then when I'm in another mood, I'll say, hey, this is the 6th extinction. It's underway.
That's right.
Every month for the last 30 months since COVID, and every month has been worse and worse and worse, regardless of whether you're measuring heat waves or wind speed or what sea rise, whatever you're doing, it's worse. We're in the middle of what they warned us we would be in the middle of.
Right.
And the darkness rises up in me, but now we're recording this show, aren't we, Andrew? And
it's live right now.
I can replay your.
You can. I think I have to replay it to hear, because I thought it was kind of something I hadn't expressed before, and I think I got to write it down. I'll replay it myself. No, but one thing that's interesting to me about the space you're in right now.
This is the kitchen.
What I was going to say is this is a multi-use space. It's not just a performance space. Tell us about how you're serving the community and who's been coming in.
Well, it used to be a bank. It's a converted bank.
That's so wild, of course.
Capital One. that was
Mhm.
being reprimanded by regulators during the Obama era for redlining,
Amazing.
racist loan practices. And they had to open a certain number of branches in low-income communities. I understand. That's my understanding of it.
Mhm.
And so they came in here, Andrew, and they put in these big suburban-looking windows. And it looks like suburban Delray Beach, Florida, or something. You know?
Yeah.
There's nothing in the East Village that looks remotely like the front of this building. And then when Trump got elected, the punishment was over. Of course,
Right.
redlining, great.
Right.
Got out really quickly, and they paid off the people who were owning the building, and they left with a great air conditioning and heating system, and they had built the bank not expecting to leave, and so we were left with this. It's kind of a microwave, kind of half kitchen with a small refrigerator, but our West African brethren can whip up an incredible meals here, and we get bread from local bakeries every day.
Yeah.
And this is our altar, of course, the old blue marble photo of the earth.
Right.
For the last one. Okay, I didn't think so. Yeah. Okay, that's the ending of the song. Well, no, sorry.
And then
The last one of each.
this is where the children play during our earth services.
Mhm.
If the children have to take a nap.
Right.
And of course, our immigrant friends who come in here at 8 o'clock in the morning, they'll come into this room and just fall on the floor and go to sleep, because some of them are in subway benches all night long and
That's
trying to
amazing.
sleep, sitting up in a chair and that sort of thing. And so they just come in and they sleep all day.
Amazing.
Yeah, our mayor doesn't like. He says the immigrants will destroy the city. But then there's a 22-story high goddess in New York Bay that would argue with him.
Uh-huh. That's right. So who it sounds like a significant number of West African immigrants are coming there almost every day, if not every day. Is that right?
Yes, including today. We have some folks here singing the choir.
That's great. It's just wonderful to know that the space has got this multiple purpose. You have this multiple purpose towards your work.
Oh, it feels great. It feels the connection between environmentalism and just mutual aid usually takes place after a tornado, when the survivors come up out of the rubble and they have an immediate gift economy. I have a skill, you have a resource, we make an economy out of necessity. This comes from a disaster. The Sahara Desert is expanding and getting so much hotter. We've got the people from West Africa are being driven from their homes.
Try to move the camera a little closer to his head.
What's that?
I was just saying, let's move the camera a little closer to your head, your mouth, so you can hear a little better.
Let's
Should we
go
go
in the back, yeah.
Or go back in, or show that sink, wherever that sink was. So those are all really good points. I think we all have to find a way to observe the community around us and to act on the vulnerabilities that we find. One thing I've been writing about over and over again, whether the issue is heat or cold or fire or smoke, having a place for people to having the awareness of who is vulnerable and how to help people reduce their vulnerability is a key part of getting through this moment. And I'm glad that's it's not like you're just doing your show and going home and sipping a beer. This is way more than that. It feels a little bit like a higher philosophy, a higher lifestyle. Someone might look at you and see that New York Times profile and say, "Oh, this is just one of those guys who is it's kind of a persona, but I think you're not. You're more than that. I'm telling you that.
Well, Andrew, it's changed our lives. You know, the Stop Shopping Church project goes back to 22 years. So we have many different
Right.
iterations along the way, which you've been there to observe as we've gone down another fork in the road.
Yeah, and you sorry.
Being here with these people who came 5,000 miles, speaking of forks in the roads,
Right.
It has changed our, you can hear it in the music. It's changed our energy is, you see, our direct action comes from labor, civil rights, peace, ACT UP, Me Too, all the social movements that have been successful in our culture have had music and singing.
Absolutely.
And we do what the singers in those movements did, which is trespass, or we dance on the edge of private property. And the lift in our particular gospel jazz idiom that we work, the lift in it comes from the weak here. It comes from being with these people that came 5,000 miles, and they have their families on their FaceTime, and it's just heartbreaking, And then for our mayor to be a Trumper, it's just, and an African American Democrat Trumper. So,
wow.
We're glad we've had support coming in. Donations have kept us able to pay the rent.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't mean to make a gracious sounding plug there.
That's okay.
Andrew, did that get by you?
No, people deserve support for the work that they do, and this is work that's appropriate. I've criticized other forms of climate activism that I feel are driving people away even more than they might be pulling people in. There are different philosophies of activism. You probably know what I'm talking about, like tossing paint on on Stonehenge, or I did way back. The Declare Emergency people outside of Washington shut down a road, and a young man who was on probation was going to be late getting to his job, and he thought he was going to get fired. And it got really hot and heated. And the piece I wrote then was open one lane. Like, it's fine to do your activism, but open one lane, be human about it. And there's a certain intolerance of some of the movement that I find counterproductive. And that doesn't mean I'm not here to say
Andrew, you
don't
did a good
do it.
job not judging. Not adopting a puritanical tone,
Right?
Against the people who shut down all the lanes that felt they had to.
Yeah, I know. I'm not here to police someone's feelings.
Inviting everybody to talk about it together. Even
exactly.
If that young man who ended up in jail, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
He was taken away, and probably did lose his job. I hope he didn't. Did he?
I haven't gotten to bedrock on that. But the idea, I think, as I think we just described the idea, I did have someone from Declare Emergency on my webcast, and we were talking through the questions and the different approaches. And I'm open. It's an open landscape, and the diversity of responses to stresses is a very human and natural part of the human experience. So, I'm not here to police people's feelings or the like.
Right.
And what you've done, so as someone, Sharon Miller, who's from Southern Oregon, in a comment, she's just said, I love the bank building takeover, more takeovers. Now I understand that Billy was serious about the bulletproof glass. and here I'm showing, from one of your earlier takeovers of a Chase Manhattan Bank branch. This was in Manhattan, I'm quite sure. So
our bête noire has been Chase. Especially the Rockefeller Center Chase at 51st Street, right next to the famous, the flying Angel of Justice there, and the rink.
Sure.
The ice rink and the Christmas tree right there. It's about a half a block from there. And they seem to have a rule that we should not be arrested. And we have mixed feelings about that. That means we can come when we want to. So we go in and we try to vary it. So we'll have a game show, and we'll award the winner of the game show will be the person who hacks into the computers and stops money flowing from Chase to the Wet'suwet'en pipeline. We'll have a game show geared to our radical idea,
Right.
and then we won't be arrested. So what do?
Right.
We do the game show for 2 hours. We we have a motive to be obnoxious now. So not that I ever needed one, but
that's pretty funny. Well, it's been great to kind of catch you here briefly on a sunny. I'm not sure what the weather is there, but here it's beautiful afternoon, and
it's beautiful here, but a little bit hot. A little bit. It's up above.
Yeah, it's a little. Every day is a little hotter than it would otherwise be because of what's happening.
Well, Hurricane Debbie, we had days in the 80s with wind.
Right.
And it really felt like an old Antonioni movie or something. It really was dramatic. Right. People's hats were like going horizontal.
Amazing. Well, what would be cool is if maybe you could do one more walkthrough and then we'll say goodbye, and so you can get on with your preparations there.
Oh, here's a beautiful song in motion right now.
Great.
One more time, and then we'll do it how we go into the major one. Yeah. We already have it there. Especially when we get to the second half. I know we haven't done it in a while, so let's have it swell out a little more, like we're moving towards this gospel version. And
can we have this song now? Because we're almost at the end of our hour. Can showbiz rule?
This is great.
This is The Fabulous Unknown, which is kind of our theme song. We did this in the Neil Young tour. It's about not knowing ultimately what nature is up to and respecting that. It's an indigenous idea. When no names are given, I'm filled with the fabulous unknown. I feel the sun spine deep in my body, the sun that keeps me warm. I'm filled with the fabulous unknown, and I see the world receive Stop
Woo! Fantastic. Just fantastic. Well, I wish I could be there in person. So, Billy, thank you so much for letting us pop in today to visit with you and commune with you a little bit. Some nice comments came in, and good luck with your work, including on the side of helping people who've come to this country, following the poll that we all followed.
Thank you,
Andrew. Led us here, and
Stain Watt.
keep it up.
Everybody. Earthalujah!
Earthalujah. Absolutely. Take care. And this is Andy Revkin signing off. This is a Sustain What special pop-up show with the Stop Talking Choir on the Lower East Side. You can join them today if you're happen to be in New York City at 5 p.m. Take care, all. Ah, just fantastic.